Hi everybody, my name is João Ribeiro. I am a filmmaker, producer and director from Mozambique, and thank you for seeing Granma 19 and the Secret of Soviet. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks a lot.
Good afternoon, João. Thank you so much for doing this interview with us for the New York African Film Festival 2021. We have a few questions for you about the context of your film, and we hope that you can answer it as in detail as you can. To start us off, we would like to know, why did you, as a Mozambican director, decide to adapt the story of which is with such specificity to particular political moments, such as those Soviet and Cuban presence, as well as the construction of the Agostinho Neto monument within Luanda, Angola. And to add on that, knowing that Angola and Mozambique have quite a lot of similarities in terms of history and political movements, such as the Portuguese colonialism and so forth. But we are curious to know why and how you related your story to this, and why you decided to film the story in the first place.
Okay, so I have decided to make this movie based on this story because it touched me a lot. As a child, we have been always on the streets and playing around in my city, or my hometown, and we have a quiet, happy childhood. So during that moment, we also has made certain things to be part of the group. As part of the group, we have did a lot of things together, and all of these things was not only. Of course, we want to enjoy. We are kids, so we are playing around. But also certain things we take and we made to defend our space, to protect our area. All right, and that is in different moments of our grown up, but also in different moments of the history in Mozambique. And this story relates to me as directly, but also because Mozambique and Angola, as you said, share this common past, which is the colonialism, the language, the culture. A lot of things are together. And on my point of view, it's very important to tell these stories about us, about our past, in order to show the new generations and people around how it was and how the expectations were in that moment. Of course, things changing, and a lot of other stories could be tell the same. But because this is childhood based, and it's a movie with kids, which takes the opportunity and takes the moment to make a change, or to try to make a change, that was the thing that moved me. Also, the fact of being a book written in Portuguese by an Angolan writer, which is my friend. We meet each other for long, and it was a curiosity. I met Ondjaki in a training session where I was a trainee for cinema production. He was one of the trainees there, so it was nice to meet him, and we developed for science there a relationship. And in that relationship, he always showed the intention of going into films or having one of his stories adapted to cinema. So when I researched, and when this story came to me, between others, I choose it because of all of that factors. Yeah.
What was your process in adapting the dialogues? Having that the original story from Ondjaki is filled with a lot of Angolan colloquial language and slang, which is very original and important in Ondjaki's work, into something more fitting a Mozambican context. For example, in his book and in the movie, characters use a lot of the word "boé," which means a lot. Well, in Mozambique, it's more known for you to say maning, which is also the equivalent in Mozambican context. So could you talk about the choices between these two types of languages?
Yeah, the good thing, I mean, it's this story must be universal, right? And as Portuguese is a language which both countries speak, of course, each one with their characteristics and their own slang, and I try to make a joint between the both. In some parts of the text, you see it's Mozambican, and another part of the text, you see some words in like bue, which comes from Angola. But even that is the reality, because today in Mozambique, everybody knows what bue means, and everybody in Angola also knows what maning means. So that is the universality of the language and the good thing on it. So the adaptation of these dialogues has gone into that, and you must understand. This script was done with another script writer. So we are a group of people which has created this story. So myself as a director, but based on a story from Ondjaki, and a script written by João. So these three different people, we somehow, all of us has been involved on this. So even for the script writer, he is also a person which has lived in Angola. He lives in Portugal, he lives in Brazil. So it also has this universality of the Portuguese language. So I try to use these characteristics to keep the originality of being in Angola, but also to touch the Mozambican part where we are based and where I'm coming from. So that was the process. So always trying to have this balance, not being only full Angolan, but not only also full Mozambican Portuguese.
Have you ever considered shooting in Angola? And if seeing that you chose to shoot in Mozambique, what were the challenges thereof?
Yeah, I thought to do a co-production in Angola. Even I tried. I didn't succeed on the moment, but I really tried. But not with the intention of shooting in Angola. Probably if I was to do that, if I had the chance, going to be some images, some general views of a particular space, because Bairro do Bispo, it's a specific place in Luanda, which could be very nice to have it represented there. Of course, a lot of things have changed, but could be nice to have some shots of Luanda, of Angola. A bit difficult now to have that same kind of image, but that's why we shot in here on certain neighborhoods specifically, trying to not show this modernity we have now, buildings, etc., in the middle of the city. While you see somehow some of that shots on my movie, you see some shots from the other side of the bay, and you can see the city with these buildings. But even in that moment, we had that construction, so it's not so bad. And not shooting there, it's also because a bit of the difficulty we have. Probably making all this production in Angola would be more expensive than doing it here. So I have to move with people, with even if the actors or even the main staff could be from Angola, we always have to bring people in, because this is a co-production between Mozambique, Portugal, and Brazil. So we have to have staff, crew, actors from different of these countries. So it's more cheaper to come into Maputo and do the movie here than do it in Angola. So these are the two factors which influence it. But yeah, in the beginning I would like to do, I had that intention of do at least some shots in Angola.
What were the challenges of shooting in Mozambique, considering the story is originated from Angola?
The fact of we don't have a mausoleum looking like what is described on the story and what is in real fact exists in Angola. That mausoleum is a fact, exists, it has this strange form, and that was a difficulty. So we need to recreate one, and in the story is on the construction, so we have to have this construction site with life going on. All this process should be recreated. So that was a big challenge. Find this space which allow us to put by graphics the mausoleum, but also at the same time have people around with machines, etc. So that was a bit tricky, and that place could be easy to access. We couldn't, because we shot there for almost for more than 1 week, but also we need a lot of time to prepare to build the set there, because in fact that barrack barracks are real. So we need to build up that scenery inside the set. So that was a big challenge. Another challenge, which is not related to the story, is not related to the being in Angola or being in Mozambique, but maybe it's a big difference. In Mozambique we don't have young actors, all right. So it's quite difficult to get. We need to work with natural actors, which is good. I think it worked out very well on the movie, but we need to cast them. We need to cast them, we need to look for them. They are not on television, they are not on theaters, they are not on the cinema at all. So that is a big challenge. Also, we don't have oldest actors. So in Mozambique, our age goes between 18 to 50, 60. It's a bit difficult when you want to cast somebody older or somebody younger. So that's another difficulty we have. But apart that challenges, let's say, not much. It was a very good production. The concept was nice. We shot in 4 different locations. The main problem on adaptation could be if I want to, in fact, reproduce what the movie is, Luanda. I wasn't worried about that. As I said, for me, this story is universal. It can be seen in Maputo, in Angola, wherever. The only context which maybe is different from town to town is the political aspect. The war around that moment, which the countries Mozambique, Angola was facing together, that war against apartheid, internal wars in Angola against UNITA, and in Mozambique against Renamo. But the moment was the same, and these factors exist in both countries. So if we're talking politically or social aspect of the film, the challenges weren't much, because all that slogans, all that culture of socialism, of Russians, Cubans, all that was present on the movie. And present on the movie was present in real life in Mozambique too, in that age.
I know that the original story has a lot of personal elements of the author Ondjaki's childhood in Luanda. So I would like to know if you had any of your own personal moments and memories and touches that you've included within your version of the script.
Not really, not much. In fact, the film follows the structure of the movie, and we have there is a lot of inputs from the own child. So I think what we allow them to do, and they did in some parts, was doing as they want by themselves. So these things, these jokes, apart the written jokes which are from the script, a lot of them, the looks and the way how they interpreting the character is by them. So I didn't try to impose a style or a model. I was more concerned about the expression, the sentiments, and the way, and keep the rhythm more or less. Then you must do this, or I would like you to do this specifically. So it's a creative work, and I believe the kids has given a lot on the movie by themselves. As I said in the beginning, I like the story because they are already reproducing a lot of my own childhood, going around in the streets, jumping in to see, playing with the neighborhoods. It was that kind of life which we in fact had in that moment. So not much of that personal touch, let's say. More respect by the story, more respect by this autobiographical relation between the author and the story. So it was more on that line. Você me tem fácil demais e não parece capaz de cuidar do que possui.
Still regarding the autobiographical and personal aspects of the film, the character's name Jaki is obviously a reference of Ondjaki's name. Did these choices also expand on a casting level? And was there a main actor chosen based on possible resemblance to the author? And what was the process of choosing the cast, the minor cast plus the older cast, for instance, and how long did you have to look for Russian actors in Mozambique?
Yeah, that process was very complicated because I wasn't looking for an actor which looks like Ondjaki. But Jaki, in the real story, I mean, in the book, he doesn't exist. So he's the narrator and he doesn't have a name. So we create this character in the story. We input this character, which represents obviously Ondjaki. And in fact, they have some, the color of the skin. You can relate with it. But it wasn't the intention, being that way. My intention on the cast was more of a diverse cast. Different kids, girls and boys, or as the story requests, but also different types of age, which also the story requests, and more different color skins, so white, blacks, mixed colored people, to have this representation of our society, because that's how we are. If you see this family, it's a very strange family because they are different. And they are all of them related to the grandma. So they call grandma, but they are in fact not direct relation in a family. So the family is extended to the neighborhoods, to the friends, and that is what happened in that moment. Everybody was like family, and it doesn't matter where you come from or where you look like, you are my family because you are always with me and I care with you. So that was the main line, and we try to have this diversity. It wasn't easy because, as I said, the kids are not practicing. They are not people from this kind of industry, and we need to look for them on different ways. It was a challenge because it took a lot of time to get the kids, and we did a lot of preparation with them. So this is, I need also to thanks to the team to helping on providing this cast and preparing the cast as it is. And regarding the Russian, it was more simple than the kids, because in fact, due to the co-production with Portugal, we have an actor which lives in Portugal, which is Russian, and he was available. So it was quite good. On the beginning, it was a problem for me. I didn't know where to find somebody. I had options, local options, people which could represent, as we have, in fact, some people from that part of the world doing the soldiers. In fact, they are Russians, they can speak Russian, so we have them there. But for that character, it was quite difficult to have here somebody. Luckily, this co-production bring the solution, and we work with the actor which came from Portugal, and it was amazing. Dimitri has done a great job. He has represented because he didn't speak. He speaks fluent Portuguese, but he keeps that atmosphere on this language. So he keeps the Russian present always, and that was a bit more pushed on the movie because he doesn't speak Portuguese like that anymore. But he has bring back that beginning of his stay in Portugal to represent that character, and it was very nice. So it was another challenge which we could go through.
What were the biggest challenges of shooting a story in which a giant rocket ship like a monument is deeply significant and present throughout the entire story without actually having the edifice there while shooting? And how did you decide to recreate it for your own film?
Yeah, that was a big challenge because, I knew from the beginning we will not have the financial capacity to make it present as it is. So the way where we're going to represent it must be taken in consideration into the story. So I can't use it often because we need much more money to produce something like that to be used permanently more often on the movie. So we have to choose where to present it and keeping reminding on the viewers is existing there. So we use the book, the Tintin book with the image. We spoke about him, and one time and another we show him. But it's more a presence in the head than a presence on the movie. That was a big challenge, and the idea came, problems became solutions. I mean, because we have this problem, we have to find out how to do it. So we decided to shoot in this place without the construction and put it on the 3D later, making in post-production. And operating like it was there. So it's a conjunction between reality and drawing, because part of the movie we shot also on a site, on a construction site where we have machinery producing cement and all that stuff. So we use that to compensate the lack of that presence there. And we shot down, we didn't show the top because the top doesn't exist. So it's a combination between, production difficulties and creativeness to overcome the process. It was a big challenge, and it could be better and much better if we have more resources to make it more present. It could be impacting more, even on the end, the final explosion. It should be an explosion of the mausoleum. We choose a different way, a different line on the story. That's why we start the story on the present days and not on the past. We start the story as a flashback, and these kids are now older, and they are looking back to his past, and they come back to the present when the movie ends with the story as a memory. So that's the challenge we have, and we need to overcome with dramatic changings and plots to create this to keep the atmosphere. Yeah.
Above everything else, this is very much a story about childhood and viewing the world through a child's eyes, with some naivety, but as well as, a childhood's wit. How do you choose to approach the tone of the story? Was your intention to do a film mostly for children or a film about children?
Yeah, that's a good question. The movie, it's a family movie. It's a film about kids for everybody. That's my view. And I hope I could pass this to everybody. But of course, if a kid saw it as the experience we had, all the kids has enjoyed to see it, but also the adults. So I don't see the movie as a kids movie only. Of course, it's for the family, for everybody, and I hope that can be seen that way. So it was never the intention to be a kids movie. I hope I could achieve that. Not because I didn't agree or I don't like it to be a kids movie. I like it, but I also have this political part, and also have this the society involved, which is a message in there about the liberty, about the political rights, about the property, the defense of something which is a bit more directed to another kind of public, not only for the kids but also for the adults one. And that, of course, the kids can feel it, but probably they don't have the capacity to interpret the fully message. So that's why I'm saying this is a movie for the family.
I can't help but wonder, after watching the movie and seeing the opening animated credits, how would have this looked as a full-length animation? Was it ever considered to be an approach for the film, or was it always supposed to be with real-life characters?
When we start this, I never thought about doing a movie like that approach. It was always conceived to be a movie with characters, real characters, and happening. The introduction of that credits on the beginning, it's something I'd like to explore, because also it's dedicated to the kids. It's a story about the kids. So having the preparation of this movie and tell more or less the tone of the movie, saying you're gonna see this, and using certain parts of the story to do the intro as a on the credits. And if you see my previous movie, The Last Flight of the Flamingo, I also use animation on the beginning. And I like this kind of storytelling. I would like to do a movie one day that way. I know it's very complicated and expensive, but I would like to explore that way. But in this case, it's more artistical representation and the creation of this environment, and also the relation which I had one kid to the comics. I was reading a lot of comics. I love it until today. I keep reading it, and I love the way how these things are represented, and the 2D process. It's amazing. I like it a lot. So that's why I choose that way. I would like to have it in the end also, but it's more complicated and more budget is necessary to complete. But I would like to have it. I would love to have it in the end also. The credits presented in a different way, using that technique to
in a story such as this, it's a very third world type of context, meaning that it's set in recently independent African country with backdrops, political and social backdrops, which include African stories, Portuguese influence, Soviet influence, Cuban interference, etc., as well as characters that coexist all under the same context. With set context and a set of characters such as these that aren't very seen in mainstream narratives today, especially not in an adventure like quotidian childhood story like the one mentioned. Did you have any political intentions within filming the story and with this context that you wanted to heighten or specify, or were you just interested in it as an extra layer in the story, as it's mentioned in the novel? And is it more of a circumstance or was it intentional?
No, that is fully intentional. I try to recreate the moment, the space in time where the story has happened, because that is part of the real life in Mozambique in that moment. So I try fully intentional. You see the wall paintings with the messages from that moment. You see the way how the kids and the characters speak using comrade, even the Cuban presence, the Russian presence, the Portuguese language, and the difference on the characters. They are really what happened. So this is part of our history. We have been born like that. We have all these influences, and in this story are not all influences there. So we have much more being part of our day-to-day life in that moment, and it's fully intentional to respond. And yes, we have a political intention. That's in all my movies. It's a political intention. It's to tell that part of the past, to create this conscience about what we have been through and where we go now, because we need to understand this past to know where to go, and it's fully intentional. So I try to pass this message about how conscious we must be about our story, respecting our ancestors, our tradition, etc., but also taking in consideration the challenge of the future. And our socialism past is part of us. And I think one of the wrong things on our today in our society is trying to forget that. So we need to understand that. We need to know that, to understand what we have done until now. So I try to have this message always present on the movies, if it is a movie or like this, which tells the story about the past.
Charlita, quem é onde tu ficas? Se acontecer alguma coisa, se ouvires alguém, não faças barulho, corre logo para casa, ouviste? Já captei, camarada. Faz coragem. Tudo pelo povo.
Tudo pelo povo.
How was the process of pitching this project to producers and getting it financed? Was it complicated to get support for perhaps the reasons mentioned in the previous questions?
Yeah, it's always difficult for us as Africans, or at least for me as a Mozambican, to go and pitch for this for the production, because we don't have in Mozambique any support, any system which allow us to raise money in Mozambique. So we need to go to get this money abroad. So what we have here, it's very little comparing to the size of the production, and that is a challenge, because we go out without much. Apart our creative work and our capacity, we don't have money, cash. We don't have it to say, I come with this 100,000 or 200,000 into the production. So that is a weakness, and it makes us always depending on these partnerships with a co-production, which is very important, but it doesn't allow me as a producer, as creator, Mozambican. I am the person who writes the story, who drives the story up. I can't be the majority on the movie, on the production. I don't have the full rights on the movie, so it's a weakness and a challenge, right? It's not easy. It's been like that for long. It's until now. It's always been like that. But it's not related to the story itself. Of course, the story got its role So is this story interesting for the markets? Is this story interesting for the co-producer? Is this, of course, this is taken in consideration. But this market of co-production is also an opportunity to the producers from abroad to be part of this project. So they are open, but it's not difficult because even them, they got their own projects to pitch, and they need to decide if they go to a subsidy, to go to find a subsidy in this line, if they go with their one project, or if they go with a project in co-production with me or with another partner from the South or from Africa, wherever. So it's never been easy. With this kind of story, maybe it's more complicated because it's a kids involved. As you said in the beginning, it is a movie for the kids, or is a movie about the kids. All these questions come, and we need to face it. But it was a very good experience, probably because I did a feature before. It wasn't not so complicated or not so difficult as the first one. We took less time.
How involved was the author in the project adaptation? Was your communication strong, or was there lack of it during the process of constructing the film?
When we started this project, it was assumed on the beginning this is my movie, right? So the author Ondjaki has allowed me to do the movie as the way as I would like, and it was up to me to involve him if necessary, and I did it. I changed ideas with him. I changed the script in one phase. He has reacted to it. So he was very cooperative, very well, very friendly, very cooperative, very creative. Yeah, and it wasn't more because I didn't request. I mean, Ondjaki was respecting lines. He says he let us do whatever, and when he expressed the opinion, when he did it, he did it in full respect of that. So it was a partnership without being, something very tight. It was very open, and it resonated well in the end, I believe. I also had the opportunity to show him the movie after. He has shared with me his feelings about the movie, and he has also publicly do some comments about it. So I appreciate a lot his comments and his respect for the story. Of course, this is a new story. I mean, it's a story based on his book, but it's my vision of it. Not much changing on the storyline. But of course, the visuals and the representation of these characters is not Ondjaki, is myself. And it's not myself either, it's the actors, and it's not either the actors now, it's the public which are seeing and interpreting by his own. So this is a cycle, never ending, and it's good because of that. That is the biggest satisfaction of making this kind of art is a collective art. All of us has some bit of responsibility on it, and it doesn't end on the crew, it doesn't end on the actors. It ends up with the final destinator, which is the viewer. Ok.
Tudo isto aconteceu num tempo que os mais velhos chamam de antigamente, muito perto da casa da minha avó Agnette, mais conhecida lá no bairro por Avó 19.